Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for those who have been my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And today's story is not a true crime story, and it's not about death and debauchery of one human being to another, like many of my stories have been. But this is the reverse. Normally, we hear feel good stories of rags to riches, but this is a story about riches to rags and being okay and comfortable with reducing one's lifestyle and material wealth to a more simplistic and simple existence here on earth, and garnered more happiness being more simple than in her past life of being bigger and more complicated. So here it goes. I was a multimillionaire. I sold my mansion and everything I owned to move into a van and live on $30 a day. A multimillionaire says selling her mansion and everything she owns to move into a van and live on $30 a day is the best decision she's ever made. Pyle, 36, was worth $4 million, owned her own proofreading business, and lived in an 8-story house in Orlando, Florida, with her ex-husband before deciding to give it all up to become a digital nomad. Gave it all up, including the husband. Their luxury property boasted 18 rooms, 4 bedrooms, and 3 bathrooms, including ones dedicated to Nintendo games as well as arts and crafts. But after getting divorced in April 2019, selling her business for $4 million and suffering a mental breakdown, Caitlin decided to adopt a minimalist lifestyle. She bought a Mercedes Sprinter van for $88,000, spent $102,000 on renovations, including a custom kitchen, complete with large fridge, juicer, and blender, and then hit the road. Caitlin has now traveled to 8 states and loves spending her days trying new experiences such as mountain climbing, which she had never done before, living in the hustle and bustle of the city and corporate America. Caitlin, who now works remotely as a life coach from Orlando, said, I went from living alone in a huge empty house to traveling full time. My life feels like a choose your own adventure. I'm doing all of this to please my inner child. I love to travel, and this has been the best decision I've ever made. I've been so much more confident. I've made new friends and even gone on dates. Life is about growth, and I believe this is what I'm doing. Throughout her 20s and early 30s, Caitlin built a successful proofreading business and made $100,000 in her first year. By the age of 31, Caitlin, she was making $4 million a year, which enabled her to purchase a 4,000 square foot house in Orlando, Florida with her ex-husband. She had a passion for interior design, so sent sketches to the designer and architect who created every bespoke fixture and mural just as she wanted it. Caitlin and her husband separated after 8 years of marriage, and in April 2019, their divorce was finalized. They didn't have any children. So she sold her company for $4 million and had to dip into her nest egg just to pay off the bills. With $180,000 in mansion maintenance fees, as she was the sole owner of the property, so she got to keep the house in the divorce. Caitlin says money worries, her divorce, and having to maintain a mansion were on her, left her feeling depressed and burnt out, and she claimed she suffered a breakdown in May of 2022. She said looking after the house became a full-time job. We built it for us as a couple. We looked forward to entertaining people and maintaining it together, but being inside it all by myself was swallowing me whole. So our material things is not your vestige and your vestibule to your happiness. It has to come from within, manifesting your truth, not from without. It was always something you need someone to tend to the lawn, but the guy would cancel last minute, or your mailbox would pile up and you cannot bring yourself to sort it out. I was scrambling to pay my bills and had my nest egg as a last resort. I had a total breakdown. She had a total mental and physical breakdown. The walls were caving in on her, even though she had a 4,000, 5,000 foot house, if you understand what I'm saying metaphorically. Now I had too much freedom and the emotional intensity hadn't gone away. Caitlin began to feel constantly low and fatigued and explored a number of possibilities with her general practitioner, who ultimately diagnosed her with chronic stress and burnout. She was told her brain needed a break and some TLC in the form of exercise, healthy food, and rest. So she decided to spend 4 years in recovery, setting up a remote new business as a life coach in the meantime. My brain and body just ran out of resources, she said. I needed to rest, eat some good food, and increase my immune system. The stress wore me down so much. I started doing these daily affirmations to help with my financial situation, manifesting abundance, and trying to figure out any sacrifices I could make. I've been watching a lot of van transformation videos, and I decided maybe I could live and travel in one for a while. In April 2023, Caitlin bought an $88,000 Mercedes Sprinter and spent an additional $102,000 in renovations. It took 4 months to get it ready, and she hired a PA to help her take care of the house while she was away, a personal assistant. And in August 2023, she began her new life on the road. While she's gone, Caitlin rents her house out as an Airbnb for $25,000 a month. She said, I set sail on the land yacht, and that's what I like to call it. I've cruised up to Alabama, Florida, Nashville, even stayed at my mom's backyard for a couple of nights. She says, I've met so many interesting people, both on the road and on dating apps. I went on a date once with this guy called Jeff, who lives in a yurt. We're still friends now, and we go mountain climbing together. I like to drive for 3 or 4 hours at a time, then I usually park up outside friends' houses. I'll work out, take a shower, use their Wi-Fi for a while to do some work. Then the next morning, I'll take off and I'm gone again. Caitlin says she also uses a camping app to find the best spots to park. She uses picnic tables as a makeshift office space and solar panels for Wi-Fi. She doesn't have any plans to go home yet, and she's been traveling for 6 months. This way of life is much more in line with me, Caitlin said. I used to go on multiple expensive vacations a year, but it wasn't sustainable. Now I'm living on $20 to $30 a night and leading a life I have always wanted to live. I think this is a great story. As I said, you'll see a lot of videos, not only from me and my channel, but from other channels talking about gloom, doom, and death, and the inhumanity that human beings are placing on each other each and every day. And I think this is a feel-good story where this young lady had a life-altering situation with getting divorced and being stuck with this big house at 36, which is relatively young, and her making the decision that she was not going to be a slave to things. As we know in the Bible, God and Jesus Christ said, do not worship deities or idols. And in this day and time, with social media and where a lot of young people have placed their energy is into athletes, entertainers, and getting the bag by any means necessary. And that's not the way to live your life. It should be a spiritual, philosophical, psychological connection with your inner self in order to embrace your outer self. And most of us have it backwards. We want to embrace everything on the outside and not work on anything on the inside. So I think this Caitlin Pyle at 36, giving up her material wealth and going out on the road and not being a slave to things is a wonderful mantra to take in, and many more people need to be that way. Tell me what you think of this good story. She went from a multi-millionaire to living in her van on her own, $30 a day, and she's enjoying her life stress-free. This has been the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth in a positive, righteous, and God-fearing way.